Hello, hello. Happy Monday, September 8th, 2025. How is everybody today? Hello, LD Industries, McEnthusiast, Russell over on YouTube. Good afternoon. So, I Hans, hello. How are you? DP version 2, warming up. All right. DRZ Pens over on YouTube. Hello, hello, hello. Is it cold where you're at? It's like 40 to 50 degrees now in the morning. It's like all of a sudden overnight, boom. Uh, Glenn, good morning, good afternoon. Uh, you just received your order from me a few minutes ago. Excellent, excellent. Hope everything is up to snuff. Um, so I have an embarrassing thing to admit if y'all didn't notice. Apparently, I left on Thursday, and despite hitting the stop streaming button, OBS did not stop the stream. And I didn't close out OBS because I was busy. And Olive, hello. And I kept getting these weird messages on my watch and on my phone, and I'm like, what's going on? And apparently I left Twitch up on the end screen like all weekend. I actually had to come in. I noticed it kind of like Saturday night, but then I'm looking in and there's no way for me to end the stream unless I'm physically here, apparently. If there is, I don't know how to do it. And I looked and I thought, well, it doesn't show that it's live, so that's kind of strange. But then all of a sudden, Sunday morning, I get up and sure enough, it says, um, Brian is streaming. I'm like, oh no, not again. So I actually had to get dressed. I had to get dressed and come down to the office and shut it off. And sure enough, it was still streaming, but only on the Twitch side. So yeah, it was a streaming marathon. Um, I don't know what else to say. It was like, come on. Um, and probably nobody noticed. I don't know. Nobody said anything to me. So, but I was like, damn, that's just very weird. Why am I getting that? And I would go and I would log on to Twitch and I would just see the end screen. So I'm thinking, well, that's normal, right? I don't know. Anyway, so now, so I screwed up on YouTube a couple weeks ago and it showed old clips of me knitting. Yeah. The Sheaffer is very impressive. You like the hinge clip and the texture of the brown. Good, good, good. So anyway, yeah, I was kind of laughing because I'm like, well, that there goes that Twitch affiliate status because you have to have so many viewers per hour average. I'm like, well, not that I was planning on doing that anyway, but it was kind of funny. Um, I don't think I've ever knitted in my life. I think I've probably tried to sew before, but I'm not very good at it. So anyway, here we are. You got 8 notifications from Twitch. Yeah, yeah, and I'm sure it was. I actually had like people subscribe. It was this weirdest thing, and I'm like, well, you logged on, and yeah, I don't know. So anyway, that's my idiocy with technology this weekend. Lisa and I went to. It looked like a bunch of short streams. It was very yeah. I need to actually go. Good afternoon, Indy. I need to go in and see if Twitch is going to drop them off after 7 days, but I'll go in there and delete whatever nonsense is there this afternoon, maybe. Lisa and I went Saturday. We went antiquing, and I actually forgot to bring. It was in terms of success. It was a utter failure. As far as antique hunting. And it was kind of one of those things where I felt obligated to buy something to pay for the gas to get there. So I bought something I normally never, ever would have bought. It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. I'll have to remember. I'll bring it in tomorrow. But yes, it is a desk set. Um, it's a Sengbush inkwell, but it's with the box. So that part is actually pretty cool, and it's like this gold. It's in gold. It's really kind of a not a solid gold. It's got a little whirl to it. It's not too bad. But I never would have bought it. And I've never bought a Sengbush inkwell in my life. But there was just nothing there. Nothing. I mean, even like, there were a couple things that I remember from the last time. Yeah. There was a desk set, and I think it was two cross-esque ballpoints, maybe a pencil. I didn't even bother looking it up. And it had this glass base with a rattlesnake in it, which actually, if you're into that kind of thing, was pretty cool. But they wanted $185 for it, so I was not having any of that. I did find a Sheaffer desk set in a Goodyear tire, but it was a ballpoint. And then there was like a cracked 21 set for way too much, and a little tiny mini black and pearl ring top. Small, that they wanted 3 times too much for. And this was on like a customer appreciation weekend, so everything was 20% off. It was all too expensive. There was nothing else. There wasn't a single Esterbrook. There wasn't a single snorkel. There wasn't a single Vacuumatic 51. Nothing. Nothing. There was nothing there. Lisa got a plate for one of her plate collections, and I got this Sengbush inkwell, and I just felt dirty buying it. So we'll take a look at it. The nib and the feed need to, yeah, it sounds like pen hunting where you're at. Yep. I think the problem was we had come in Saturday morning. We did some shipping here, and we were waiting for the postal carrier to come, and she's not used to coming to this building because nothing else is open on Saturday ever for a long, long time. Apparently she did come, but like at noon, I was like, we got to go. We got an hour and a half drive. This place is only open till 4. We got out. So we went to the post office, and we got to the post office like at 12:05, and they closed at noon. So my apologies to anybody who had orders in. They left this morning, but so I get it straightened out with the carrier, and that kind of thing won't happen. Probably won't happen in the future. Although we already have a plan for this Saturday. There is an antique store we are planning on going on that's several hours away. But what I'm gonna do is coming in Friday night, gonna do the shipping, and then we're gonna take it with us and find a post office and drop it off. So we'll see. I probably got the type of people that spent all night buying everything under the sun on those shopping networks. Yeah. I know I got at least one or two follows. I'm like, well, I guess that's one way to do it. Whether or not they want to watch pen repair is probably, and listen to my ramblings is maybe another thing. All right. So that was the extent of it. I'll bring it in tomorrow. I completely forgot to bring it in today. We'll look at it. It's kind of cool. Maybe somebody can take it off my hands. I don't want it. I don't need another desk set. Let's just put it that way. And I just got a message from my daughter. She's editing desk sets, so you know what that means. That means that we're going to be having there'll be desk sets up on the website pretty soon. She's got, let's see, 18 to go. Hang on just a second. Let me catch some. Oh, hi. Oh, jeez. Okay. Bye. I'm not used to people coming in, and when they come in, I'm not used to people coming in. Anyway, so yeah, it looks like we'll probably have some desk sets going up pretty soon. So some of the pens and stuff that we've been that we restored a couple months back, probably a couple months back. I think there are 27 maybe sets, and some really nice ones that are going up. So I keep an eye out for that. Let's take a look at what we have on the bench today. we've got this, but I don't want to start with this. I've got the PFM from last week. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is another cautionary tale. So, as some of you may recall, the sack on this was a nasty gooey mess, and the owner couldn't figure out why. And after watching it, and he emailed me back, and apparently he lent it to somebody to try it out because they were thinking about buying a PFM, and his friend promptly filled it with Sailor Blue ink, which is a no-no with latex sack. So and it actually was funny because Lisa and I talked about this on the podcast on Friday. And initially we were like, well, we don't want to say, don't use Sailor ink. I love Sailor Blue. I love it. In fact, I have it in, I forget. I just loaded it. Oh, which is another story. But I have it I inked it up in a pen. I love the ink. Just don't put it in a pen with a latex sack. Happy Monday, Dawn. How are you? Because that's what's going to happen. The Japanese inks, a Roshizuku, Sailor, they are going to melt the sack. We are not melting sack. Ooh. Little public display of affection there. Don't get used to it. What is this? Afternoon, Ellen, over on YouTube. So anyway, I know y'all like your Roshizuku, you like your Sailor, don't put it in a pen with a latex sack. Use your modern pens for that. Cartridge converters, because it's going to get expensive fast if you have to constantly be replacing your sacks every time you ink it up. So, don't do it. Definitely use Sailor Blue. It's a great ink, but don't use it in a sack pen. All right, let's put this thing together. This should perform much better. Actually, what we need to do so we can line this up. I am hopeful that this weekend's pen hunting will be more fruitful. It was kind of depressing. I mean, I think the other part of it is normally when we go, we have a list of different places we're going to go to. And so if you get skunked at one place, there's always a possibility of finding something somewhere else. But this was the only stop on the docket, and that and a coffee shop that was in our coffee passport, and unfortunately they closed. Or they closed like early. So we were kind of tired. There's no coffee. It was all in all Similar about the random Twitch notifications. Yeah. I expect better of myself being a former IT professional, but thanks for the Jekyll and Hyde notification. Did you get one? I don't remember who got what. They were kind of in and out. It certainly looked like a super cool pen, but you know you can't keep them all. What are your thoughts on Girbon inks? I've read most are pH neutral. I know that is not the only criteria for good ink for vintage pens. Just curious. Um, you know, I've been such a proponent of sticking to Waterman inks on all my vintage pens. I've never used in a long time used a Girbon ink in a sac pen, and you almost never hear anybody say anything about it, pro or con. If they're pH neutral, that probably would be a good sign. I like the inks in general, and we will be carrying them at some point. I can't tell you when. We kind of have a list of brands um, that we're going to be carrying, and that we're going to focus on at least for the next. You know, it goes by week. Really, what it does. Um, and so for the next 2 weeks, Urban and Execlair products are not on the list. They will be though. You missed the Sleepy Hollow and the Dracula, but I have the related rickshaw sleeves for those I missed. Yeah, I remember the Dracula. I wanted one of those too. Congratulations for breaking the record for streaming. Yeah, yeah. You haven't had problems with knowledge on Yeah, and that's my recollection. I used to when I first started, um, 20 plus years ago. I did use like a Clot de Saphir, and had always had reasonably good success with them. Oh yeah, I would not use like the Rouge, yeah, the shimmery ones for sure. You have plans to carry your own brand of Yovo nibs like you did on Anderson pens? Those were great nibs. I have several of them. Um, that's a great question. Um, that I must admit, I we have not pondered. Um, my initial response is probably, I mean, nothing is ever a no. Usually, I mean, there's a couple things that are definitely a no. Um, but the problem, the problem with those nibs. Now they would make for a really. I mean, you'd have to think about what's the logo on the nib going to look like, right? I always thought that logo looked really great um, on the old nibs, um, but we'd have to come up with something new, which is not a problem. But the minimum order quantities are outrageous. I mean, they're really ridiculous. Um, I mean, they're it would like in the neighborhood of it cost me what was it? Well over 5 grand. And it's a super super slow burn, really slow burn. It takes forever to get your money back, and that's the problem with it. Um, so initially, yeah, because there's minimums. I forget how it works, so don't quote me on this. Um, there are minimums per size. You have to buy so many, but then you have to buy so many per size per like color. And then people, you got to have silver, you got to have gold plated. Um, Mike had some laser engraved in smaller batches. Yeah, these were. I mean, it was insane. I mean, what we ended up. I mean, we sold a lot in November, December, but I mean, what we ended up essentially giving to the bank was, I don't know what they're going to plan to do with those nibs. I mean, I guess it's not my problem, but I mean, it's a lot of money that, if I was going to spend 5 grand, if I had 5 grand now to buy nibs or to buy Execlair, Girbon, Ink, and, Rhodia and Clairefontaine, I'd take Execlair all day long. So it's one of those things where it's not, you don't think he ordered 5,000. Well, I mean, it wasn't 5,000 nibs. It was $5,000. I mean, it was a lot. Did he only have one color? I saw the one that you sent. That was kind of fun. I know that was taped. Was that taped on there? Or was that actually on there? Was that laser engraved? I didn't look at the picture close enough. So it's not a no. It's just he had 4 designs. Scraggles was on one. Oh my god. Yeah, you have to carry them all. That's right, Russell. Um, okay, now that trying to line this snorkel tube up, and now it's too far in. The 1.5s are maybe the super slowest sellers. I probably wouldn't do those again. Um, you know, I don't remember what we had more of when we We closed, but yeah, you've got to have extra fine, fine, medium, broad, and 1.1 stub for sure. You know, I would skip 1.5 unless I could get, 20 of them. 1.5 needs a juicier feed. Yeah. You should have bought more stubs. Yeah, I don't remember. We did pretty good selling up like the extra fines and the fines. Still, still not quite there. It's like when some pen makers come out with a new pen and you have a choice of two different nibs. Yeah, or Sheaffer, one. Come on. Killing me. This is the fiddly, oops, cameras. The fiddly part of snorkel and PFM repair. I mean, if you don't care how this lines up, then you're golden. But there we go. Right depth. There we go. I can live with that. That looks good. So yeah, there's a lot of product that needs to be bought. There's a lot of good product out there. You just can't get it all at once. All right, let's see. That's much better. Yeah. Let's give this another go. This was our first writing sample while I was trying to get it to leak. I'm just gonna toss that. I've got two. Here, let's use that one up. I'll reach out to Mike and see what he did. I mean, there is technically there's a U.S. distributor, and then there's like somebody else who claims they're a U.S. distributor, and I know it's creating some tension in the industry. Well, it's a nice nib. Okay. As long as you don't borrow his designs, yeah. I don't know that I want to put scraggles on my nibs. Mike and I go way back. I actually don't know how long I've known Mike. I mean, I think about it, and I've been in the industry now 28 years. Probably met Mike. I mean, I don't know when he started. Mike's worked for us at quite a number of pen shows, and I always tease Mike because um, you think you met him 15 or 16 years ago? Yeah, that could be right. I always tease him because I remember Mike's website when he used to review beer. So if you didn't know that, his website he used to Ink Dependence used to also he used to have beer reviews. Like I don't know if they're still up there if you scroll all the way back to the beginning, but yeah, he yeah, this fills a whole lot more than did before. I think before it was just kind of it was trying. I think it maybe was probably filling in the sack a little bit, but it was just making a mushy mess. So we'll seal this up, clean it out. while I'm thinking about it, I'll try to remember to mention this at the end. Tomorrow I may be late. I have some movers I have to deal with. I don't know what time they're showing up. Inexcusable. It's supposed to be, it's one of these between 12 and 2 kind of things. And I'm hoping it's closer to the 12. But if it's later on in the day, then I could be late to stream. But there will be a stream tomorrow. Get a Platinum 3776 balanced Maestro fountain pen and burgundy with gold trim arrived. When I went to install the converter, I thought it would not go in. A very tight fit into the stem. I haven't had a balance in a long time. I carried him for a while. As long as they show up, I'd be happy if I was you. Yeah, these are new people. It's a local company. With like a boatload of really pretty good reviews. And I just couldn't get. Apparently, we had 2 appointments for today. One was to move, and another one was to with this other company, and one was to estimate it. Well, it's kind of ridiculous. I said the heck with that. I'm going to call somebody else. I found somebody that was like actually really close to the storage unit, like across the street. And they gave me the right quote. I don't think it was any cheaper. Didn't matter. I need this done and I need it over with so I can get on with life. You have to ask Mike if he's reviewed any beers lately. If you do, he'll probably know I set you up for it because I'm probably the only person that remembers that. I bring it up about once a year. He just laughs. He laughs me off. All right. Give this a good little wipe down. And this guy can go home tomorrow. What a good looking. Well, that is just such a nice color, isn't it? It's really the best color. The burgundy's pretty good, but this is a great color. All right. That. You have a 51 Aerometric later version. Wondering what the sack is made of. Typically, they're ply glass, although people have replaced them over the years with latex. Ply glass is basically, I won't say is indestructible, but it really holds up well. And I do not recommend disassembly to replace a sack just because it's not perfectly clear. Which, you know, the people may have differing opinions on, but that pen is so problematic when you take it apart. If you PVC, okay, yeah, ply glass PVC. It's just not worth the effort if the only reason we're taking it apart is because we don't like the fact that it's not perfectly clear. But that's my opinion. Others may have different opinions. I just think it's unnecessary work. All right, I guess we can put these guys back together. I guess I don't need this note either, do I? Yeah, I mean, you know, you're not gonna see it when you're using the pen. This is a great pen. This is really a great pen. On the end here. State of Maine Library is the process of moving back into the facility after having moved to a temporary space for like over 3 years. They're using a local moving company. Yeah. Well, I originally had called a company I have used in the past. I've had very good luck with them. They've been very good to me. But the proprietor apparently has moved on to other things. And he is nowhere to be found, so I can't call him. And all I get is we get the local hotline or whatever it is, and it's just not helpful. I don't need to be answering the same questions every time I show up. I call up. and they can't seem to understand that, and Lisa's taking care of things, but she can't take a phone call during the day. So this is her phone number is different. So say, well, no, it's not that phone number. It's this phone number. Oh, well, okay. They were even confused when we called to cancel because we were like, yeah, you guys can't get your stuff together. So, well, what can we do to keep your business? They say. No, not doing it. Good afternoon, Vlad. How are you? Library has like 7 miles of books to move. They have 7 miles of books, or they have to move their books 7 miles. We recently had our library here in Appleton um, rebuilt, and it finally this summer reopened. They had actually moved their books. They'd moved the library to a temporary location, and then um, apparently they didn't sign a lease or something, and the owners of that location rented out the space, so they had to move the entire library again. It was really a big to do. You're getting ready for the RV show. Well, I'll be. Are we RVing? We RVing to. We're going to get in the RV and we're going to go to all the pen shows in the U.S. That would be something, wouldn't it? Get in an RV and then just do the circuit. Then you'd have like 3 weeks of waiting in between shows. That is the idea. Okay, all right. I mean, you got a couple shows that are really pretty close together, so that makes it a little bit more challenging. But and there are more shows now than there were when Lisa and I were doing 13 a year. But if we could have put everything in an RV, Billy is in the wrong location to attend in January in an RV. Yeah, it sure is. Every year we go, something would happen. Every year. It sure was fun watching the snowball fights in the street when we got snowed in that one year though. LA is kind of a brute too in February, um, especially if you're going to be traveling east through the Rockies after coming back from LA. It's never good weather. All right, we can test these. You'd rather fly to get to the Cali Pen Show? I saw this. I saw this ad yesterday for um, Frontier Airlines and this $299 pass that they have all year long. And I thought to myself, it sounds like a terrible idea. It sounds like a terrible idea. But what if it actually would work to get to a couple of more pen shows? But I mean, I've flown Spirit before, so I understand the Fuzzy, how are you? I understand the experience is roughly the same as Spirit, which is basically a lawn chair in an aluminum tube with wings. So after about 15 minutes of research, I decided that maybe Frontier Airlines $299 annual pass with like 60 or 90 blackout dates is probably not a thing for me. Well, it's a nice writer. In the late 70s, United did a lifetime unlimited ticket for $10,000. Oh yeah, I heard this story. The guy bought it and he did the entire world every year till he died. He said, you know what? I think I want to go have dinner in Paris tonight, and then you know. Yeah, that's nice. That'll pass. Who's lifetime? What is their safety rating? Yeah. It would be nice to have dinner in Paris when we want. You know, so the funny thing, um, the end of the month, I wanted to take Lisa out to dinner, and Hans knows this, but he doesn't know that he doesn't know the end result. Um, and Hans was grateful enough to help me um realize that because I can't call this restaurant because they're open they open at 4. They only do dinner. And so Hans says, well, you know, they do open table. I'm great. So I download open table, I get the reservation that I want on the night that I want. And I'm like, this is going to be great. I just have 3 weeks, uh, and then I'll surprise Lisa like the morning of, say, hey, listen, you know, we're going to dinner at 6. It's a nice place. We only go like once a year, you know. And so I get a confirmation from the restaurant, and I put it in my Google Calendar. But we share a number of calendars, and I'm pretty sure that we don't share my personal account. So I put it on my personal account because it's got the reservation number, right? Last night, we're sitting waiting for, you got dinners in the oven. And Lisa's looking through the calendar. She goes, oh, we're going to Lombardi's on the 27th. Son of, so how do you know that? Apparently, she does have access to my personal calendar. So I guess the surprise lasted all of 2 days. But now she knows. I tried. I was asking her, like, oh, she's got some optometrist thing coming up, and I wasn't sure what day it was on. I wanted to make sure she wasn't, it's a Saturday, making sure she wasn't gonna. Yeah, now she can look forward. It was just like, oh, you idiot! But I never thought she had access to that calendar. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, she was kind of excited. She's like, "Oh, we can get dressed up," and I'm like, "Okay." I tried. Of course, now she won't pester me. She won't pester, like, if sometimes she finds things out. If she finds a little bit out or something, and then I would get asked 23 times a day. Well, okay, is it? So we're going out to dinner. Okay, is it this place? Is it that place? Is it this place? Is it that place? Is it in the country? Is it west? No. Stop asking questions. 30 minutes later. Do we have to drive more than 35 minutes? A little bit dry, this one. Golden Arches Supper Club, yeah. When I was a kid, they used to have, you'll never guess the dinner in Paris. Yeah, you'll never guess that one. Um, when I was a kid, they used to have, for Valentine's Day, they would have, McDonald's would not rent out, but you could go to McDonald's for Valentine's Day and have like a dinner for two by candlelight and stuff. It was ridiculous. Where dress up, put on your nicest watch and your best pen in your pocket. Yeah, I may actually wear a an analog watch. There's a Paris, Wisconsin. Oh my God. No, I'm not going to play that game. Hey, we're going to Paris. Really? I don't even know where it is. No fear, there's only a couple of dive bars in Paris. It's near Union Grove. No one else knows where it is either. A little better. I think this buff stick is nearing the end of its useful life. It'd be perfect if it had an antique mall. There we go. Well, she agreed to go antiquing this weekend on one condition. That we stop at the outlet mall. There's an outlet mall nearby. I said, absolutely. A few years back in the 1990s, there was a facility built that had a dinner theater, restaurant, fast food, arcade section, meeting rooms. Went under a few years later. Pleasant Prairie, yeah. Down to your neck of the woods. Yeah, we always seem to get going the wrong time. I'm gonna leave it at that. Pretty good. It was out near the interstate at the time. The area was not developed yet. Bank took over the building and had some of its operations out there. All sorts of interesting recommendations here on YouTube side. Little Vietnamese place. Madame Pho. Madame Pho. We'll spin those out in a minute. Boy, it's getting a little warm in here today. It's like 50 degrees in the morning. It's 70 degrees in the afternoon. Make nib smoothing look easy. Well, sometimes it is easy. Sometimes it's not. Like anything else, you just got to do a lot of it. All right, we'll see how this is. This is a 2550. Did the stream die? No. Oh, it did. Well, that's weird. I wonder if this is yeah, it did stop. I mean, heck, on Thursday it just started right back up. It was glitchy on Twitch, so you moved to YouTube? Okay. Sorry about that. Oh, yuck. Man, I hate these nibs. Scratchy, itchy. Dinner in Paris is no big deal. You do it all the time. Paris, Ontario. I think I've been there. I think I've been there. No, Susan Worth loved these 2550s, but I don't love them at all. You met a guy named Heinz from Elmira that said he knows me? Yeah, yeah. He used to own Girologio. And then he sold it to Mario. On the way to London, yeah. Yeah, nice guy. You bought 24 desk set bases from Heinz? That's a story I need to hear. I got outbid on some desk set parts on eBay this weekend. Does that count? I wasn't bidding high enough. I'm not surprised I got outbid, but I actually wasn't certain I had my eBay account set up for payment. But I guess I was able to bid, so I must have had something set up. Much better. Well, that nib started out about as well as I expected it to. Tight, no flow, a little better, much better. It's kind of hard to. I used to drive through London. For a while, I lived in upstate New York, and then I would drive from Wisconsin to Michigan, and then through Canada to come over to Buffalo. And I think that was London. All right, moving right along. Hope the rest of these are not as problematic. Cross at Sarnia Port Huron 402 to London where it joins 401. That sounds vaguely familiar. Now, it would have been, what year would that have been? 97, maybe? Long time ago. Before I started collecting pens. Or right about the time. Pretty close to the time I actually got my I got my first fountain pen in New York, upstate New York, when I lived there. Venus Autograph was the first pen. I never was able to use it, ever. It was a lever filler, and the barrel was sealed. It would never come open. And the nib broke 30 minutes after I bought the pen. And then it was probably a couple more years till I bought my next one. But I expected them to work, and that was the problem. I assumed they worked, which is a dangerous assumption. But I got incredibly lucky because many of the first pens that I bought, Esterbrook's Sheaffer balances, actually had good sacks in them. This nib is ridiculously long in proportion to the rest of the body. Nice 2442 Falcon. Light is actually awfully bright. Turn that off. That make it a little bit easier to see. It looks like, yeah. It looks like a Franken pen. It probably was not never. It was probably never the first choice. Um, I mean, but it works. Great nib. Yeah, this is a real pretty color. Real pretty color. It's just kind of different, you know. It's not your normal color. Yellow's bright and cherry, yeah. And then matching yellow jewels, of course. And problem is it's a tiny, tiny pen. Really a small pen. These Esterbrook pastels may be more. I mean, they may smaller pens, you know, of course, are available. You like tiny, yeah. Um, but for many these days, it's pretty small. My writing is not very great with these because it's so hard to hang on to. Yeah, nice 1555 Greg nib. A little bit broader than it probably should be, but if you look past the number and you just look at how it writes, it's pretty nice. All right. A couple problem nibs, but got them fixed. A lot of phantom streams over the weekend. Looked a couple times to see if it was an actual stream. Yeah, there was something going on with. I accidentally left OBS Studio up, and despite having physically hit the stop recording button. It did not stop recording. So I actually had to come in on Sunday because it kept going off. I think Thursday I was probably also pretty fried because it was an early morning for me. So maybe who knows what I did. Thought you had a cat pressing the keyboard or something. We've joked about bringing the cat here, but he might get into trouble. I wonder if it's it could also be an OBS thing too, because the stream just stopped earlier, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But we will shut it off and close it out, which is normally what I do anyway, but I forgot to do it apparently. Yeah, strange. It kept going off and on regardless of OBS being on. It was weird because I was trying to I was logging in to Creator Dashboard Studio, and like on Saturday night, and it said offline. It didn't say I was live, but then it like came back on Sunday morning, and I said enough's enough. I took my coffee with me and I came into the office. Making me think of bad puns such as not writing a pause video. All right. Thought I was testing all weekend? Yeah, I was testing something. My patience, your patience, everybody's patience. The computer at my workbench here, the workbench is kind of like in a cordoned off area of the office. And so I only come back here if I have to repair pens, and that's that. And I was here Friday, didn't even think to come back here and look. I gotta grab a spotter box. You always assume you were in your home. Up until last week, I was. Yeah, so we moved into a new office. It was just getting to be. It was too crazy at home. There were I had product everywhere in the house, and I had repairs everywhere, and it wasn't a very healthy thing. So we just said, you know what, we'll get we'll get an office space, and then so we moved most of it over the last 2 weeks, and we'll finish it up. Finish it up tomorrow. Everything should be moved in. Well, almost everything. So, all right, what are we gonna do now? Yeah, no 24-hour repair streams. That would be something, huh? I guess we should look here. Hang on. These were the colors we did. Peach. Oh, I have had a request for these. I should do these. Let's do that. You need ice cream. Finish the pens. Gaming? Yeah. Yeah, I don't really. I've mentioned it before. I play one game, and it's on my phone, and I've been playing it for about 5 years now. So I don't think anybody wants to watch me play that. So this is actually a good. This is kind of the most common thing here, but this is a good cross section of interesting pens. These are. This is a very dirty. It needs to be cleaned. Esterbrook Transitional Nurse Pen. So it's a single jewel with the red jewel at the top, and then the bottom they just painted red. So pre-47. And then this is your next generation. We've got the double jewel with the red. And then it also came in black. Did I say nurse pen? Yes. Yeah, nurse pen. Yeah, black jewels. And there's a very, very rare version with green jewels. If you see white with green jewels on an Esterbrook, it is, I can count on one hand the number I've had in my life. I probably had maybe a 4 at the most. But in order for this to qualify as a nurse pen, because there is a white pastel, with black jewels, there are two things that distinguish this as a nurse pen. Number one, pastel pens have short sections. Number two, pastels are shorter. Nurse pen is actually SJ size. So if I had an SJ here, which I don't really have an SJ here, but you can see the difference. You see the difference in the length. So full size section SJ size barrel. And the caps will be different too. Actually, I did this one. Yeah. So this one here is the pastel. You can see how much shorter it is. Yeah, the whole thing is. Why is it called that? Was it marketed to nurses? Yeah, actually, I think in the catalog it was marketed to medical professionals. We call it the nurse pen because it's kind of a small. Kind of a small. I mean, it's SJ size. It's tiny. It's kind of small. But yeah, so there's a white and black pastel, and then there's a white and black nurse pen. Now, for some reason, as collectors, we've decided that these are nurse pens because they're smaller, and the earlier white 2-hole clip pens, which also have similar adornment, painted ends, red or black only, no green. Those we call doctor's pens because they were made in full-size models, although they were also made in the short H size. I think the catalogs called them pens for the medical profession. And built-in stethoscope, no, but the early 2-hole clip pens, there is a thermometer holder. It's very thin. It's a 2-hole clip. Memory serves, I believe the ends are red. And it holds a thermometer. So. And these really show ink if they're dirty. All right, and then these two yellow pens are exactly the same. They're exceptionally, and I mentioned these last month or so when I got them. Very uncommon. Like there won't be one of these at a pen show. You go to the DC show, if there's one of these, I would be shocked. Clipless pastel, no clip, made for it. And you can tell because the Tassie, there's no break in the Tassie. You know, it's not like the clip broke off, because then you would see that. Presumably they made them in, I've only ever seen them in the black jewel variants, the lighter colored pastels. But presumably they made them in all sizes, but you don't really see them mentioned very much in the catalogs at all. Very scarce. Very scarce. I don't know why they didn't catch on. But they did not catch on. So the other thing you have to worry about with these pens, as I've mentioned before, particularly with the white pens, is they're very fragile. So heat is typically necessary. And especially if I see all this inky mess here, it's probably going to be a pain to get over. So this one here is your only real garden variety pastel in the whole tray. The rest of them are all pretty special and not cheap. And if you ever see the thermometer holder, if you're a collector, you pretty much have to buy it. It's a guarantee you won't see it again. I've owned 2 in 27 years. Probably seen 3. Never had one open. They've got a little, I believe they have an inner metal tube. And it's a friction fit, not a threaded unit. Two hardest ones to get open are open. Now, the nice thing about the clipless version is if you have a problem with the barrel, the barrel's the same as the clip version. The cap is really where the money is. And yellow, thankfully, is one of the most common colors of pastel there is. Gotta get some paper here. Hang on. Must have used it all up. I had some scrap pieces that I was using. They work good for writing silly notes. Oh joy, another 25.50. Have to replace that nib. And this one. Means I'm gonna have to find my nibs. Where did I put those? Oh, good. Clean these off. No sack. There's no J bar in there either. Well, these were all used pens because they're all replacement nibs. Nasty. Nothing in there. All right, let's clean these guys up. Open wide. Mostly surface rust. How many pens do you have ink at any given time? 40 to 50. I don't know. I've got maybe 6. Not a lot. all mostly stuff I've just recently bought. Got like a 3-pen case and a 4-pen case, and that's kind of it. Indy, you've got 40 inked. Okay. Nothing there. We'll come back to that. There's no judgment though. Either different inks or different nibs. Yeah. For me, usually it's just out of sheer laziness. You've been trying to identify a more modern Sheaffer white dot pen with no luck. Send me a picture. Send it to hello@cardinalpens.com. One that's on the screen right there. Yours is mainly because you buy pens quicker than I use all the ink in an already inked pen. 1, I can't buy a pen and not ink it. And 2, I don't like wasting ink. Yeah, I don't like wasting ink either. We recently found 3 ink samples at the house. I don't know why I have them. I would never use, like, there's like an ink studio, and I forget what else. But like the colors don't appeal to me. I would never ever use them. I won't won't throw the ink out. Yeah, if you like shimmer inks, yeah, different colors. Sometimes you gotta have. Sometimes you gotta have different pens for that. I can, however, buy a pen and not ink it for a long time. I don't know what that says about my mental condition. The pain of you, I have too many, but I'm getting better. At least I'll give some to new people in the hobby. Ellen says when she was getting out of debt, you sold a lot of ink, especially the Kobe's. Oh. Well, the good news is some of that stuff is readily available and not terribly expensive. You only have the Morgans left on. Well, there you go. It's a great feeling when that's paid off. Keep telling yourself no new pens until Columbus, but you keep breaking the rule. Yeah, I'm supposed to get my hotel reservation today. Oops. Yeah, it's what, less than 2 months now. No new inks, but you broke that rule too. Yeah. I am thankful I don't care too much about having a lot of ink. I got a couple I like, and I'm happy with that. I got 99 vices, and collecting ink ain't one. Cardinal red ink coming soon. Oh, I didn't show you guys. I did actually find a bottle of Sanford Cardinal Red. In the tiny Sanford pennant bottles. I don't actually know if there's any ink in them. All right, let's take a look, Russ. Well, Russ, I can't tell you exactly what they called the pattern, but what you've got is a prelude. It's let's see if I can open this in. Can I open this in a browser somehow? Yeah, it's definitely a prelude, so to help people see what we're looking at here. I don't know why it's not showing up. Okay, so here's the pen in question. But it's got these rings. It's definitely a Prelude. I just don't know what model it was. But cool little pens. Cool little pens. Am I going to be a vendor at the Columbus show? No, I will not be a vendor at the Columbus show. My vending days are pretty much over. Yeah, no, I'll just be there to buy pens. Coming in Thursday. Yeah, I'm going to be shopping. Too much work? It's a combination of things. One of them, being the tax implications. Well, that's like 1 and 2, right? More and more shows are requiring submitting tax information, which means then they want to collect sales tax. And if I collect sales tax at a show, then I have to usually, most likely, charge it to all those customers in that state on my website, which means everybody from Ohio is then going to have to pay sales tax. As it sits, I fall under the nexus, the limitations, so I don't have to charge people from Ohio sales tax. So that's number one. Number two, number one is I don't want to have to charge people online sales tax. Number two is I don't want to have to charge you. So you're left with two options then, is to charge sales tax at the show, which nobody wants to pay, or eat it, which is then immediately a huge cut, right? Reason number three, I've had so much stolen at pen shows. I'm done. I'm done displaying stuff, because no matter how careful you are, if thieves want your stuff, they will steal it, and it was starting to happen at every single pen show. And I just, you add that on top of having to pay sales tax, and packing up all your stuff. Another reason is no matter how hard you try, you inevitably have product that you take to a show that you have exactly one of. If I take any of these pens to the show and somebody buys it online, inevitably somebody would say, well, even if I said, well, we would have Dave at the shop, and he would email me a daily list, or we would watch the sales and we'd say, okay, well, we sold this pen, I'll pull it aside. Dave would email the customer and say, listen, Brian and Lisa have the pen at the show, but they've pulled it aside. They will ship it as soon as they get back next week. Well, people don't want to wait that long, and they would cancel the order. And so inevitably there would be multiple canceled orders, or you'd end up not seeing the sale come through in time, and you would sell it at the show. And so then you have to refund them anyway. So that part's annoying. And you can't really buy if you're stuck behind a table all day. There's actually more money to be made at the show buying product, if product is available, than it is sitting behind a table. And I'm not 25 anymore, so Um, Hauling all the stuff we used to haul is just, I'm not doing it, you know. I'm not against it, but the tax thing really is, there's no getting around that. I mean, some shows now you can't get in the door without having to fill out the paperwork. Um, Before you get your table assignment. So that's the other thing too. Your nurse pens will have these little spacers. Are there things that customers at shows can do to help vendors with theft? Yeah, I mean, it's hard, and sometimes it's not a lot. It doesn't matter if it's a lot or not. It really doesn't. Um, I don't, I don't want you stealing anything from me. Um, but I got burned so many times and big a couple of times. I'm just not interested. Um, some shows have uh, uniformed officers or security guards walking through. Some shows actually have, yeah, it's a principal thing. It's so demoralizing, whatever the value. There's only one time I was like, okay, fine, whatever. Somebody stole the Noodler's Ahab in Long Island. They're like, okay, fine, great, knock yourself out. It's not gonna write anyway, you know. Yeah, obviously customers would say if they saw something, but the problem is especially if you're selling modern pens that 200 people in the room all probably already have, it's hard to say, well, that one's mine. If somebody stole these and you say, okay, listen, I need to see inside your pen case, you know, guaranteed nobody at the show is going to have one of these. But it doesn't matter because you have to be able to, catch them in the act. There's some undercover, plain clothes security people walking around at some shows. Some shows have cameras. But it doesn't really matter. Inevitably at some point during the show, you're busy, and unless you only have one, even if you only have one table, you got 6 feet of real estate. If I'm looking over here, I mean, and I've seen it all. People do the switcheroo. They pull a pen out and then they put something else similar to it in its place. That's why you have dragonflies on your pens. Yeah. Yeah, it was regular. I mean, it was every show. It was, and we talked about this before. It was a Platinum Azumo one show. The next show it was, it was 14 pens one night, overnight in Dallas, 14 at one go. Just picked them out of the case. Mont Blanc John Lennon. Hard to find Esterbrook early doctor's pens. I mean, that one honked me off the most, I think. I mean, they're not available. Matching serial number Aurora 88s, limited editions. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not much anybody can do unless you catch them in the act. Yeah, 14 at once. Yeah, and so the thing about that was is it was before the first night at the show. The room was to be locked, but it was open to a couple of the larger vendors so that they could get in and get unpacked and not have to, hustle and bustle with all the other single table holders the night before, because we had a lot of stuff, right? And it'd take us a while to get the car unloaded, and if you gotta unload around everybody else, it takes twice as long. So there wasn't that many people that actually knew the room was open. And so the first thought is, okay, the only people that have access to the room are a few of those vendors. And of course, anybody from the hotel. But here was the catch. I had a tray that they took them all from one case. And I had sets, fountain pen and ballpoint in some cases. They picked the fountain pen, they skipped over the ballpoint, and they went to the next fountain pen, they skipped over the ballpoint. They only took the fountain pens. And they were at the end of a table where we had a break. So we had like 3 tables and then a break and then 2 tables. And then so then there was a break, and then we had the tables covered with they're actually like picnic table covers. And so they lifted them up at the break because it was easy to do it there. And there was whatever case was there is what they stole from. Now the irony is, had they gone to the other side and pulled the other one up just a foot away, it was Namiki, Mont Blanc, after that, I every night, I ended up taking the Mont Blanc and the Namiki for the rest of our shows. It went up with me at the end of the day. You found the Prelude series page. It looks like signature. Yeah. That's right. Probably. I'm gonna guess 10 years ago, 8, 9, 10 years ago, somewhere in that range. And that's just the pens that you know about, right? You don't see the bottle of ink that gets taken, or the little things, the cartridges or whatever. Well, this thing is dirty. Holy cow. So yeah, I don't mean to go on a rant, but that's I had a beautiful Burgundy 51 stolen one time. And they did the switch, so I didn't notice that the space was empty in the case. And we started, after that show, we started putting sticks. And then we realized, well, people could just go get coffee sticks anywhere. So we had sticks that we painted a line on, which is not foolproof either. But they replaced a 51 with a Burgundy 51 with a gold-filled cap, and they put a black 51 with the lustrolite cap in its place. Inked, mind you. It was inked. That was ballsy. Don't sell. No, I don't sell my pens inked. Susan Worth was famous for that, though. She would have every pen on her table. Whoops. Was inked up, which is why it took her so long at the end of a show to tear down, because she emptied and cleaned every pen. I might dip into some Dr. G's here and then see if if that helps. Clean this out. It's quite caked. I don't know why that camera bounces now. I think before I had it wedged up against the wall. Well, this thing is just nasty. Unbelievable. It's such a scarce pen, and it's just. We're gonna come back to that. That's just disgusting. Yeah, it's stained. Obviously, the sack ruptured, and it got everywhere. It was cakey. And that's a problem with pastels because it'll just stain the plastic. There's not much you can do about it. No, so I'll just be walking around Ohio at the show, which is way better because it gives you more time to talk with people. Now, if you're going to be at the show and you want something delivered, let me know. I'm certainly happy to do that. I'm a Thursday, Friday, leave Saturday morning kind of guy, so it's got to fit under those confines. But other words, all right, let's see what our. I'm going to soak these caps too, but one of these was really pretty clogged up. That's some kind of green in that one. Deep blue lacquer engraved chrome trim. Okay. And they made them in like red and all the colors. Prelude was a good pen. I liked it. I always liked that pen. Those nibs are shot. What was this one? Oh, we fought it on 2 sites so far. Thought it was a little bit older pen, but lowest price 45. You paid 24. Yeah, I think it is an older pen. But it was never Prelude was it just kind of fell off and never a huge seller. I don't know why. Same nib as a 100 and a 300. Maybe people didn't like that triangulated section. Let's see. Let's see what my water looks like. Situation looks like here. A little bit further away than it was at the house, so I gotta stand up. Oh, it's disgusting. For these caps, I'm gonna drain this. And we'll put a little bit of fresh water in there. There are a lot of different engraved designs in the Prelude. Yeah, yeah. Was there a green one too? No, there was like a burgundy. Put some water in here. All right, we'll do this in 2 batches. I've got a couple of caps that are very similar. And we'll see how dirty they get. All right. Coming up on 5 here pretty quick, so we'll just do a little bit more of, see if we get some of these threads clean maybe. Tomorrow we'll deal with a little bit more of the insides of the barrels. That didn't work. Doesn't always. Sometimes it does. Oh, we'll try some polish on there. I already see some of it coming off. Sheaffer Prelude Signature Collection was launched in 2012. Okay, so I was close. I was close. I said 8, 9, 10 years ago. This is a Penzer upscale version of the original Prelude line, which was introduced in 1997. Okay. I knew they were, I was thinking they were kind of before my time. Yeah, the red's the one that always, it sticks in my mind because it was a good looking pen. All right, so this is better for a first pass. And that may be as good as you're going to get it. You would have spent a lot more time digging to probably eventually you would have found it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. But hey, if you can just send me a picture, and we get it in 30 seconds, then that's even better, right? I'm going to regret looking at this little thing that came out of the pen. I don't know what it is. I don't think it's a bug. I think we can afford it in Q-tip. You like adding pens like that to your collection where someone would say, oh, what is this pen? Yeah, it's like some kind of quasi-modern um, cool thing, you know, that may or may not have been popular in its day. And they can be, as you found, they can be found cheap, real cheap. And this pen clearly had red ink in it, all over the inside. We're going to continue on with that guy tomorrow. This one's pretty nasty too. Look at that. Under the loop, the feed looks like it's never been inked. Cool. Oh, that's a good start on this guy. Just going to clean the threads on this guy, and then I think we're going to call it a day. We got more work to do. All right. Well, it's almost 5, so I am going to call it a day. Let those caps soak, continue to soak. They're not really messing up the water too much. But we will continue working on these tomorrow. We should get these sacked by the end of the day tomorrow. And got some vacuumatics that are supposed to be in the mail pretty soon. Have a great night, Hans. Thanks. Hopefully they should be here tomorrow. They're supposed to be here Saturday. They weren't here today. So we'll finish these guys up. We'll start on the vacs. Whatever else, you know, if they don't come, I've got other Esterbrook's, and I got other pens too. So again, I may be late tomorrow, so take care, Glenn. Thank you. So just kind of keep an eye out. It should be really pretty close, but if the moving company is the moving company doesn't get till closer to 2, then I don't know. It could be 3 o'clock. So, but we'll see. I'll try to keep you updated as much as I can. So, other than that, thanks for watching. Have a great evening, a great afternoon, a great morning, wherever you are. Be kind, be well, and I will shut off OBS tonight so this doesn't run all night long. So, have a great night, everyone. Thanks. Take care.